Greetings to each and every single individual. Hopefully, all of you guys are still doing perfectly great. And also, hopefully, this video will serve a great purpose and be useful truly, guys. So, today we will be dealing with our retained income. We have already dealt with our structure for retained income. So, we'll be basically dealing with the question paper. So, there I have already drawn up our structure for retained income, in which we are going to be using today. So let's look at our question paper. So we'll be dealing with question 3, which states that company financial statements and audit report. We'll be focusing on 3.1.2, which is our retained income. Retained income on the 30th of June 2015. Let's look at it. So let's look at our pre-adjustment trial balance. Says that balances on the 30th of June 2015, we had 5,600,000 rand. So, pardon me, as our ordinary share capital. And then we also have what? Our retained income on the 1st of July. So, our financial statement commenced or started on the 1st of July, meaning our opening balance will be 2,700,000 rand for retained income. Write it as 2,700,000 rand. And then let's proceed with it. Let's look at our adjustment there. Our main focus is only on retained income only. Scroll down. Okay, let's look at information. Let us see there. First thing is first, they told us that the interim dividends of 600,000 rand were paid on the 31st of December 2014. So that is a value of our interim dividends is 600,000 rand. So there under your dividends, you will record 600,000 rand. Well, already they calculated it for you. Record 600,000 rand. Let's look at the following transaction. The second transaction states that the directors declared a final dividend of 22 cents per share on the 30th of June. 30th of June 2015 on all shares issued to date. Shares repurchased on the 31st of May 2015 do not qualify for final dividends. So, meaning what's going to happen there? For us to be able to calculate what? For us to be calculate our final dividend, we are going to be using our shares at the end of the year because they told us that the one that were repurchased do not qualify for a final dividend. So we're not supposed to be giving them a final dividend. So what we have to do there, you have to see how many shares did we have at the end of the year. Let's look at our adjustment there. There's an information that talks about share capital, the Roman figure number 3. On the 1st of July 2014, our company had 300,000 shares in issue, in which it had a value of how much? In which it had a value of 3,900,000 rand. So that is the shares at the beginning of the year. And during the market, we issued an additional shares. We issued an additional shares at 1 rand 70 each, in which had a value of 1,600,000 rand. and it has been recorded. And then on the 31st of May, we repurchased 20,000 shares at 12 Rand 50, each from an existing shareholder, 50,000 Rand. This has been also recorded. But then Tina, our main focus here, we want to calculate our final dividends at the end of the year. So we said that we're going to look for shares at the end. So our shares at the end, how are we going to calculate it? We'll say shares at the beginning, which amounted to 3 million, plus the shares that were repurchased, meaning plus 1 million rand. Pardon me there, pardon me guys. Plus the shares that were issued, which amounted to 1 million rand. And then minus the ones that were repurchased. Minus the one that were repurchased. And then we'll get the shares that we had at the end of the year. Or alternatively, we can all refer these things on an ordinary share capital. Let's record it on our ordinary share capital. Shares at the beginning amounted to 3 million. In which there is a value of 3,900,000 rand. And then during the year, we issued an additional 1 million shares. And then they did provide us with what? They did provide us with the value of those shares. Let's go to a question paper so that you can get it. The value of those shares it is 1,700,000 rand. At how much? At 170. The value amounted to 1,700,000 rand. And then the repurchase occurred. That's what you know. An additional shares were repurchased, which amounted to 20,000 rand. 20, which amounted to 20,000 rand. Write it, 20,000 rand. So Tina, you want the shares at the end of the year. We're going to say shares at the beginning, plus the one that were issued, minus the one that were repurchased. And then when you insert it in your calculator, you say 3 million plus 1 million rand minus 20,000 rand. And then you'll get a value of 3,980,000 rand. So 3,980,000 rand were the number of shares that you had at the end of the year. Therefore, for you to get your final dividends, you are going to use those number of shares at the end of the year and multiply it by what? Multiply by the they say that the directors declared a final dividends of 22 cents per share. So we'll say 22 cents multiplied by the number of shares at the end of the year, and then you'll get your final dividend. So 22 cents basically 0.22. So say 3,980,000 multiplied by 22 cents. And then we'll get your value here as 875,600. And then for you to get the total dividends, we'll say interim dividend amount, which amounted to 600,000 rand, plus the final dividend amount, which amounted to 875,600. And then we'll get a total dividend, which amounts to 1,175,600. And then remember, it's supposed to be in brackets. At this point, you can basically calculate. Remember that our repurchase, one thing that you know about the repurchase, we say what? The number of shares that were repurchased. We know that is 20,000 shares. We are going to multiply it by what? By the difference between what market price and the average price. Already in our information, we can basically calculate the average price for a repurchase. We can basically calculate it by saying what? The value of shares divided by the number of shares. Meaning we'll just say the value, this is the value, plus 1,700,000, add them, and also add your number of shares. I think when you add your number of shares, you'll get 4 billion rand. So add the value of your shares and divided it by the number of your shares. So the value of your shares will say 3,900,000 and you will add it by 1,700,000 and divided by the number of shares that you had so that you get your average price. So say 3 billion plus 1 million plus 1 million. And then we'll get your average price for repurchase plus 1 million. So let's edit in a calculator. 3,900,000 plus 1,700,000 divided by 3 million plus 1 million, which amounts to 4 million. And then we'll get your average price as 1,4. 1,4. So 1,4 will be your average price. You should get an amount of 140 cents. So that would be your average price. Already we have our average price, meaning we can get our difference. Let's go to adjustment. So in our adjustment, they told us that 20,000 shares were repurchased at 250. So 250 basically is your market price. But then Tina, we know that when we are dealing with what? When we are dealing with our ordinary share capital, you don't want the market price. We have a market price, we'll write it as MP. Our market price is 250. And then we have average price. Average price is how much? Is 1 rand 40. 1 rand 40. So we can basically get our difference. Say 250 minus 1 rand 40. And then we'll get our difference is 1.1. So 1.1 will be taken in our retained income. So we'll write it as, we'll multiply by 1.1 then. So see 1.1, 1,1 multiply by 20,000. And then we'll get an amount of 22,000. And then also remember that it's supposed to be in your brackets. And then say, we are left out with our day part, our net profit after tax. So, question, let's go to our adjustment. So, in the above question, they require us to do a mini income statement whereby you have to rectify errors and omissions. So then the net profit after tax, they amounted to how much? They amounted to 1,750,000. Well, what it is, they amounted to 1,750,000. That was the answer. So that was the first question which was assessed. So we already did it. So we are on the second question whereby we have to do our retained income. So net profit after tax amounted to 1,750,000 rand. So at this stage, we can basically get our balance at the end of the year. How are we going to get our balance at the end of the year? By saying balance at the beginning, plus our NEPAT, minus our repurchase amount, which amounted to 22,000, and lastly, minus our dividends, which amounts to 1,475,000 rand. And then we'll get our balance at the end as 2,952,000. 400. And then that will be our balance at the end of the year. So somewhere, somehow, your retained income, you saw the principles, and you saw how we basically calculated our repurchase and also your dividends there. So it's paramount for you to know your ordinary share capital because it goes hand into hand with retained income. Other than that, thank you for your time, guys, and please enjoy the rest of your evening and day. Thank you.